Hey, welcome. Have you ever said something that felt almost right, but you knew deep down it was just a little off? Well, today we're going to crack the code on one of the trickiest parts of English, turning adjectives into nouns. It sounds so simple, but trust me, there's a secret logic to it. Let's start our investigation. Okay, so listen to this sentence. Although there are several differences between British and American English, it sounds so close, doesn't it? Several difference? You know exactly what it's trying to say, but that word is just not quite right. This is our very first clue. So what's really the problem here? For the next few minutes, let's put on our detective hats. We're going to examine the evidence, follow the clues, and really solve the mystery of these mischievous little word transformations. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. You can't just slap a ness or an inity on the end of a word and call it a day. Nope. Sometimes the word needs a completely different ending, or a new spelling, or maybe even a total makeover. All right, let's open our first case file, suffix mix-ups. This is where the culprit is so close, it's got the right idea, but it's wearing the wrong disguise. The ending is understandable, for sure, but it's just not correct. Let's look at the first piece of evidence. And here we have two suspects in one sentence, hotness and hungriness. You know exactly what the writer is trying to say, right? But these words just sound a little clunky. So what are the correct forms? First up, hotness. Now, while you might hear people say it, the standard, correct noun is so much simpler. Heat. The heat in the room was unbearable. See how much cleaner and more natural that sounds? And hungriness, it's the exact same deal. The proper word for that feeling isn't hungriness, it's just hunger. Our stomachs were rumbling with hunger. It's one of those classic pairs you just kind of have to know. Let's look at another piece of evidence. They almost died of thirstiness. This is another one you hear all the time. I bet you can already guess the correction before I even show it to you. And if you said thirst, you nailed it. The adjective is thirsty, but the noun is simply thirst. That extra inniness on the end is completely unnecessary. They died of thirst. It's so much more direct, so much more powerful. Okay, time to level up. For this next case file, we're not just talking about a simple costume change at the end of the word. Oh no, we are talking about a radical transformation where the entire root of the word gets a makeover. Whoa, okay, this sentence is a whole crime scene. We've got multiple offenders here, width, depth, and height. These are perfect examples of where the entire sound and spelling of a word shifts when it becomes a noun. And check this out. This table really clears things up. See how the vowel sound actually changes inside the word? Wide becomes width, deep becomes depth, and high becomes height. This is like a whole family of words that follows this pattern. You just have to learn them by heart. Here's another classic example for you. The adjective is young, but we don't say youngness, do we? No way. The noun is a totally different word, youth. It's another perfect example of one of these radical transformations. For our final case file, we're going to need our magnifying glass to look at some really subtle errors. These are the tiny mistakes, a single wrong letter or a missing piece that can still throw the entire sentence off. These are the really sneaky ones. You know, this one is so easy to miss. Truth. It looks and sounds so close to being right, but that extra E is an imposter. It's a super common typo when people are switching from the adjective to the noun. And here's the fix. The adjective is true, ending in an E, but the noun is truth, ending in H. That little E just vanishes. It's such a small detail, but it's the difference between being right and being wrong. Okay, this one is my absolute favorite because the mistake creates the exact opposite meaning. Apologizing for the convenience? That's like thanking someone for spilling coffee on you. The culprit here isn't a wrong ending, it's a missing beginning. I mean, obviously the airline is apologizing for the trouble, which is an inconvenience. The entire meaning of the sentence hinges on that tiny two-letter prefix, in. Without it, the apology makes absolutely no sense. And one final clue to wrap up our whole investigation, ableness. The adjective is able, so adding ness seems totally logical, but the correct noun is actually ability. It's just another one of those common suffix traps. All right, detectives, you have seen all the evidence. Now, it is your turn to go solo. But before you do, let's just quickly recap the key techniques we've learned for cracking these kinds of cases. So here is your detective's guide. Whenever you're not sure, just run through this mental checklist. First, check the suffix. Is it the right one? Then, look for a deeper change. Has the root of the word itself transformed? And finally, check the fine details. Look for those spelling traps and any missing prefixes. Here are 5 new adjectives for you. Go ahead and hit pause right here and see if you can find the correct noun for each one. And as you do it, think about what kind of transformation is happening. Ready? And here are the answers: optimism, bravery, strength, loyalty, and pride. So how did you do? As you can see, we've got a mix of every single type of change we just talked about.
Awesome job, everyone.
And just like that, our investigation is closed. We've seen that English is just full of these strange quirks and weird historical oddities. Which leaves me with one last thought for you. If you could rewrite just one rule of English grammar to make it a little more logical, what would it be? Give it some thought, and thanks for joining me.